Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Indie Creative Comics Podcast, where we are all about independent comics. I'm one of your hosts, Angel, with John Pepe.
How's it going, Angel?
Woo, it is going. But listen, I know we're going to go off on tangents already, and I have to get it off my chest. But what the fudge happened with Lunar this week?
Oh man, yeah, it's like so as far as our store is concerned, I don't know what where the other thing is, but yeah, we actually didn't get one of our distributors, the one that does the DC books and Image and a lot of other publishers. We didn't get those till after we opened the doors on Wednesday at 12 o'clock. So that
Yes,
was a bit of a nightmare.
yes. So
Yeah,
I'm going to say
and
this. But let me get this out. I need to talk to Lunar for a second. So Lunar, we started doing live Thursday reviews, and you screwed us over this past week. I still don't have my books, you sons of bitches. All right, my rant is done. My rant is done. All right, guys, welcome to another episode. This is actually the Indie Creator Spotlight. Really excited tonight. Got to read some really cool manga-inspired comic. It's supposed to be the Andrews, but we got one Andrew Dorland. So we got one half of the Andrews that we're going to bring on to talk about his comic, his process, all that stuff going on. So let's lock him in. And there he goes.
Hey
hey,
guys, how's it
What's
going?
going on, Mr. Andrew?
Hey, just hanging out, drawing comics,
Yes,
living
yes.
the comic life.
So artist to artist, I'm glad
Yeah,
that we got the artist Andrew.
yeah,
Because all writers like to do is talk, blah, 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 blah.
so you're gonna
yeah. That's
draw
true.
all of your answers to our questions.
Yeah, I'll just visually, yeah.
That'll be
You know,
awesome.
like,
All right, Andrew, listen, it's great to have you on the podcast. And
thanks, guys.
unfortunately, Andrew Healy could not make it on, which is your other half for this particular project
Yeah,
that you have going on. Now, we're definitely going to dive into the comic because John and I read it. Even went to your website, which gave you a deeper dive into what you guys
cool,
created here, which is pretty cool. But we always like to start with the origin story. So, sort of like your origin story into comics. Like
cool.
what got you into comics? What were your first comics as a child or grown up getting into comics?
Yeah, for sure. I'd say like I had older brothers that were reading comics and then got sucked in really big. Of course, I was right around that the '90s boom kind of time frame. That whole thing. There's always the classic crossover between cartoons and comics and stuff. I know Angel is like I'm in Ireland actually now. I'm Canadian.
Okay.
I live in Ireland. My wife's from Ireland, but Declan Shalvey's doing the the Thundercats X Silverhawks
Yes,
thing. So yeah,
yes,
anyway,
which I'm
that
loving
whole
every single second of it.
yeah, that whole like era. So like even when that came out, like oh my god, just
That's
all
why
that animation stuff.
that's why he's so
Yeah,
upset about Lunar being late because he did not get the
yeah,
Thunderhawk number
exactly.
one of
Yeah,
that this week. So
yeah. So yeah,
Wait, so
yeah. So
you're
I'm
in
happy.
Ireland right now?
Yes, I am. Yeah, yeah,
So that's what, you're 5, 6 hours ahead of us?
yeah. It's 11 now. Yeah.
Oh my
So
God, it's
yeah,
bedtime, bro. That's crazy.
it's all right. I'm an artist, man. I'll be up at I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, till like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah,
Same thing
exactly.
over
Yeah,
here.
so it's
All right,
it's
so yeah,
11
so
11 p.m. over there.
yeah,
Anything we should
yeah.
know about in the future that you can relate to us in the past?
Oh, let me think. Yeah, I don't know. Everything, the world's solved. It's all world peace now. I
Oh
don't know.
God, thank
yeah,
you.
whoa,
Oh,
in
good.
4 hours, that's
Yeah,
fantastic. All right, cool. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I did comics in the 80s. John's like the historian, so he's done comics for a very long time.
right.
And we've dedicated this particular podcast to pretty much everything independent, even though most of us actually were introed in with either Marvel or DC
Yeah,
and stuff like that because they were just huge. But then the 90s rolled around, and there were always underground comics, there were always independent comics. I mean, we spoke about this not too long ago, but we always bring up Turtles because that was like the biggest phenomenon
right. Yeah,
in the 80s, just underground, photocopied and just became the shit over time. And in the 90s, you got the guys that broke away from the big two and then created Image. And that was the next big boom for like creators being able to get their own stuff out.
yeah,
And that's when I got heavy back into comics because as an artist, you usually follow your favorite artists, and
Yeah.
most of those guys were my favorite artists. So
Yeah.
even to this day, people just don't understand why I still collect Liefeld, Youngblood comics and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Well,
like,
once they get under your skin, you gotta ride or die with the artist. Right?
yeah, you're just done. You're done. I mean, from
Yeah.
McFarlane twisting the body form to
Yeah.
Liefeld not being able to draw hands and feet, it never bothered me at all.
So I always laugh at the McFarlane thing. He gets so much heat with the anatomy stuff, but I'm like, but there's like the two sides of the fence. He was pushing it, doing things amazing. You know what I mean? Like that was like purposeful or whatever. And then there's the other hardcore like anatomy artist guys who are like, the body doesn't work that way. No, you can't do it. You know what I mean?
I know
So,
it's
like,
and but they try to, like, it's funny, and you talk and like comic people are so irrational because comics don't make sense. They're not real. They're not based in reality. And when you do that, it drives them crazy. But then when you base them off of reality, they're like, no, it's supposed to be comic. It's supposed to be about the imagination. It's one of these crazy fights that it drives me insane.
But that's sort of, it's funny, people like ripping on the artist aesthetic for Image, but that's part and parcel of sort of what they were when they were created. I mean, it's in the name, it's Image. It was your high profile artists doing a lot of, hero pinup shots and things like that. And part of the appeal too, I think why Image really hit as hard as it did in the early 90s is that unlike a lot of other indie stuff that came before, because there was a big indie boom in the 80s, and of course the standout is Ninja Turtles. A lot of that stuff was not necessarily in the superhero realm, right? So to speak. It wasn't X-Men type stuff. It was and even Ninja Turtles, Turtles comes as a riff on Frank Miller's Daredevil, but again, a lot that art is really scratchy. So a lot of the indie comics pre-Image, in your head, it's Love and Rockets, it's scratchy artwork, it's black and white, it's not like what you're seeing on the stands from the big two. Image comes along with those artists that were making a name for the big two at that era, at that point. Glossy paper, full color, superheroics, big guns, ammo belts, and pouches, and that took off. Rob Liefeld was on the Tonight Show or Arsenio Hall, or he did the late night circuit. I remember watching that as a kid, right before Youngblood #1 comes out. Rob got the 501 Jeans commercial. Todd bought all those BS McGuire baseballs. Like it just blew up.
Which I have to say, those button flies were never functional at all.
No.
I got one pair in my life and I was like, never again. Going to the bathroom in those things was the worst thing ever for a guy.
Yeah.
Rob still wears those.
It's really big area. We've got the extreme era with the big muscles, all that stuff, big guns. And they started off a lot like trying to carry over what they were doing at Marvel and DC with all the superhero stuff. And I think, bringing in a lot of these guys as the publishers later on, especially with Valentino, he was a really big component in switching what type of content actually made it onto Image. And now they're pretty much doing everything. It's not one particular genre, and they've just expanded to every single genre, which is, I think, allowed them to really just prosper as being one of the third big publishers. And we still include them in our reviews because everything is creator owned. And to have a company that huge with creator owned content is phenomenal. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's interesting too, because if you look at, like I was talking about how the perception, and what indie comics look like in the 80s, and then how Image sort of changed that game. Everything has peaks and valleys and booms. And there was a big boom in the 80s for manga. And then in the 90s, thanks to Image, with a lot of the dynamic storytelling and big stories, big characters, you saw another resurgence for manga, and a lot of that was a creative wellspring as well in the mid 90s for manga. That's a little bit of a segue into what you do and how you landed on your art style. So if folks haven't checked this out, and maybe we'll put a link in the comment, you're definitely gonna tell us the link for the website.
For sure.
But Angel mentioned manga inspired. I'm reading this and I'm like, this is 80s manga done in the 21st century by a couple of Canadians. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And so
Thanks.
where did your manga influence start? Where did your love for manga? Where was that transition from superhero
Yeah,
comics to manga? Yeah.
for sure. I was definitely caught up in the like especially when it was Dark Horse, right? That when they came out with like the Lone Wolf and Cub stuff. Like so that's when I started like because I was Wednesday, was it still Wednesday at the time or was it Tuesday? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Comic book day. It was there every week, right? Then you start seeing these things pop up on the shelves. Even like you said, Yojimbo and stuff was like kind of this weird bleed over a territory that just the Japanese stuff started popping up a lot, and then anime was like Ninja Scroll and stuff, just kind of like gatewayed my way in there.
That is my favorite effing movie of all time.
It's amazing.
I lost my physical copy of that movie and I cried.
No. Yeah,
but I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But
no, it's cool. Yeah, it's a
classic. Always go back.
It's a classic.
It's such a great fucking.
Yeah.
And
they even said like,
well, the I don't know if you still read, but Stoko was doing his Orphan and the Five Beasts. Do you know that comic? And it reminds me so much of Ninja Scroll because it was the Five Devils of Kimon or whatever it was. Really close to that. So that's why and I'm mad at Stoko because it's taking forever with that book. Sorry, I went off on a tangent. Go ahead.
No, it's cool. I'll have to check that out. I love that stuff. Yeah, and even like they started getting like Samurai Executioner and all this other stuff that was like in that vein, I guess, or whatever. And then Akira and stuff. The more mainstream stuff after that, but yeah, that's what I fell in love with. It was just happened to be coming out at the comic. So I definitely was like later. I wasn't like a super early adopter of the manga stuff, but then fell in love with that style. But then still love the Western style. So you can see a lot of that stuff in the stuff I was doing now. It's like kind of this weird manga, but still kind of West thing going on. Yeah, like you're saying. So yeah, I love all that stuff. I'm trying to think of anything else that was real hit me when I was. Do you ever see Spriggan? There's that old anime called Spriggan that if anyone's there's a new one came out, but there's also books of it and it's super awesome. But you see some stuff like Spriggan and Guyver.
Yeah, that was great.
Guyver. So I was pick up. Yeah, we saw the anime first, and then I'd go back and I jumped into manga stuff afterwards. And
did you ever see the movie?
Awesome. Yeah, which one? The
live action
Dark Hero?
The live action, yeah. It was so horribly wonderful.
Yeah, I know. It's
fantastic. That's cool though. Yeah, I mean, I watched a lot of anime growing up as well, more so than manga. Like my daughter, like this generation that my daughter's in, she's she just turned 18. Huge on manga. So like Attack on Titan, My Hero Academia, One Piece, all that stuff that she's read. One Punch Man we watched together like crazy. Another one of my favorite animes that came over from manga inspired stuff. And I tried reading manga. I started with Alita Battle Angel. I could not get it because my brain could not read backwards. And I don't know. So was that early the Lone Wolf and Cub? Was that true manga? Like, was it backwards or was it?
I had the smaller books. I think it is backwards. It is. Yeah, it's
okay.
So I mean, published in Japan, it was backwards. Yeah. When Dark Horse started doing, well, actually, it was like I think Eclipse did the original comic book size reprints, and they were regular format. And I know, and in the early 2000s, when Dark Horse started reprinting them in the smaller format,
the Frank Miller cover ones
with the Frank Miller cover, and then eventually the Matt Wagner, right? Because those were all pulled from the old Eclipse reprints.
Those are left to right.
Those were normal. If I remember correctly, those read normal. They may have done editions that are backwards.
Right.
I also know they did like thicker chunks of of like the two little ones in one, right?
like the little mini omnibuses.
Now they're doing the hardcover reprints, the full size hardcover reprints. Those might also be back traditional reading way.
Right to left. Track of, so I could not do it. My brain could just not go right to left and then down to up, and it just drove me insane. I don't know what it was that my brain was just so resistant to it. I just couldn't do it. But I watched a lot of the anime that were inspired by the books, and my daughter has like so many collections of it because I think Attack on Titan went to like I don't know, I can't remember. It was like in the 50s, 60s or something like that, where it finally ended along with the series and stuff like that. But did you read a lot of manga?
Like those specific titles, I guess. I was probably a good mix. I still read a ton of Marvel. mainly Marvel books, I guess, some DC, and then other stuff that was kind of any other indie stuff that I kind of liked off the shelf. So a pretty mixed bag, I guess. Like I
Okay.
don't know if it ever got 50-50, but somewhere pretty close, I think.
Cool.
Like down the line, as the years progress. But yeah, just always loved comics and stuff. I actually went to business school because I wasn't. Well, my family denies this, but I wasn't allowed to go to art school, so I was like drawing my way through business school. And then actually became a stockbroker, and then was drawing as a stockbroker, and then quit that. And I was like, I have to. Then I worked in forestry, so I was like in the woods, and then I'd be in the cabin still drawing and stuff. And then finally, anyway, later on, I work as a storyboard artist for years.
Oh,
well,
neat,
so,
neat.
yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, so you clearly did start with a traditional art style.
Yes.
When did you decide? Okay, I want to go into the manga art style, and was it as a result of this project, or had you started leaning into that style prior to hooking up with Andrew and creating this?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, leaned into it a little bit, I guess, before, but yeah, this is the first time I've like actually like leaned into it. I think it always crept into stuff because just as artists, like whatever I like and everything kind of bleeds in. But yeah, this is the first time I've like let it loose, I guess. I've kept it like kind of caged, I guess, a little bit, and then this is the first time I've like, okay, I'm gonna go full. And then yeah, I've been doing a lot of the pages traditionally, and then I'll scan them in and then still just kind of do screen tones and different stuff and clip. So so yeah, I do sometimes, depending, because we're doing it's kind of like a weekly release thing, so if I'm a little behind I might have to just do a few direct digital pages, but I'm trying to do as many as I can. And even if I have to go back to keep it traditional later too, that's fine. But yeah, it's
that's cool. Who are some of your artist influences?
Let me think. So yeah, definitely Akira, like Otomo, and then, but then like guys from like I love my number one guy growing up, especially, was Ron Garney. He's like my favorite. I think one of my favorite artists. That's like not. I don't know. He gets praise, but I don't think like it's like he's the top. But his storytelling is so good. Like a huge Moon Knight guy back before. I love his. So Ron Garney's Moon Knight run back in the 90s and stuff is super awesome. And,
he's one of the things I love about Garney is he can be hyper detailed, super detailed, but he can also just do the light and shadow, the block of dark with the the contrast. Yeah, he's great. Yeah.
Yeah, his Conan black and white book that they printed is awesome. Just because I think he's just a master storyteller. Like there's no mess. He's not like trying to fluff up the page. It's like really, I think about the story, and like he just hits it home like just that way, for sure. Yeah. So yeah, he's probably my number one, I guess, and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know. Like even McFarlane growing up was kind of a big thing, even though I may not have even known it that much at the time, but it's still like, I don't know how much that really bleeds into the stuff I do, but he's awesome. I'm blanking on the name right now, but it'll come to me in a second. What's it? Blanking. Who's you guys will know, the artist Matt Fraction Hawkeye run.
Oh, David Aja.
Yeah. There you go. Thanks.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know why I was blanking on him. But yeah, I love his stuff. Yeah. He's so awesome. Yeah.
It's interesting that's what you gravitate towards. Whereas in what you're doing now, it's very hyper detailed, and it has, like I said, all the kinetic energy of what you expect from manga. And I love the use of the zipatone that you're doing there to create the dimension. Because one of the things I think is neat about manga is that it's very fine line, but it has that dimension and that texture, and that comes out. I noticed in the inking and everything like that. So it's really cool. How did you and Andrew meet up and kind of come together on this?
Yeah, so I was back in Canada, and I don't know if you guys know the Raid Studio in Toronto. You might know. So it's run by right now it's run by Ramon Perez. So the Tale of Sand, and he's done a bunch of other books, and but he's the head of the studio now. I think at the beginning it might have been Chip Zdarsky, I think, started it up.
Okay.
I think originally. But there's a bunch of Marvel and DC guys in there. They're all it's kind of like a collective artist space, and so I promote anyone in the Toronto area. You can join potentially. If I think they're probably full right now, but it's a great spot. Like it just gets you out of the house and you get to work there around these guys, and everyone knows comics. And there's some people that might work in there that are like not working directly in comics, like video graphics or something, but everyone does comics on the side at least, or like everyone. I think the link is comics. But there's like Marcus Toes in there, and then a bunch of people. It's super awesome. So we were both in there, and then he was writing, and then he just saw. Originally, I was just doing some sketches, and I came up with this crazy character and put him on a. It was actually on a mug. There's one of those deals, like print a mug for $2.99 or something. So I was just drinking out of the coffee, and then Healy was like, "Hey, what's that?" Like, "Oh, let's go." I'm like, "Oh, I got this idea," and then that kind of spawned off there. So yeah, so we're buddies from the studio and kept it going that way. So he's written for TV a lot. His is like his big. He's written some comic stuff, but he's mostly a writer for TV and animation. And I was working storyboards and animation a lot, so we had some similar stuff going on. And yeah, and we bounce back and forth. So we kind of write it together. It's kind of like a weird hybrid kind of thing, because I kind of had the story in my head, and then he like elevated it even better and kind of bounced things back and forth, and then he handles most of the dialogue and stuff like that. So
nice. That's awesome. It's a good relationship to have, especially with a writer.
So this is your story that you conceived, and then you brought it to him.
Yeah, like somewhere I had like the core stuff, and then he added a bunch of different elements later, like that. I wouldn't say it's just all mine because it's all mixed up now together. But good, originally, like I was like, I got this idea for this thing. Originally, it was way more just like I think on the mug it said like techno junkie space assassin or something. It was just a goofy, like it was way more like 90s crazy. So yeah.
Okay, so then let's jump into it. Let's jump into it. This is tell us a little bit about the story, the title, where did it come from, and just the idea behind the story.
Yeah, so it's called Jupiter Junkie. If anyone wants to check it out, it's jupiterjunkie.com. You can read it for free. I'm just dropping pages as I go. So the first, at least up to 100 or so, and then the guy's kind of manga structure. The first book's like about 202 or something like that. So I'm working my way up to there, but we're at 39 or something like that.
At time of recording, 39 pages.
Yeah. It's Jupiter Junkie. It's definitely an adult comic. So there's a word that if you're young, don't be jumping on there to read it right away. It's not too bad yet, but it gets more. But as you can see in the name Jupiter Junkie, the long and short of it is it's in the future, and every major corporation is like its own space entity in space. So they've broken up. There's a big history to it, but they're all broken up in space. And the Caduceus is the pharmaceutical company, and they're having a trade war. So now there's like a black ops war between the different corporations, and they've developed guys called Jupiter Junkies that are essentially super soldiers, I guess, in the sense, but they have to take the serum every 6 to 8 hours, or else they go through super bad withdrawals and can die. So that's like the way they keep the leash on them. So it's like space heroin, I guess, in the sense. And they got to shoot up and get jacked up. Kind of a mix of like super soldier and like Bane venom, I guess, if you want to put some equations to it. And except they don't get like bigger. But yeah, and then that gives them the power, but it's also their leash. And so that's the framing of the story. But I can give you like a better, in a larger picture, it is like a story of an addiction, but it's like, you'll see as it goes on. Of course, it's like breaking those chains of addiction and coming, and we can relate all this stuff into our own lives. It doesn't have to be this fake drug that isn't the thing, but it's there's lots of different things that we're weaving in once he kind of has a realization of. So he's been lied to throughout the story. He thinks that he's born in he thinks he's been kind of born in a test tube, but Caduceus has actually created them. So the grim truth in the book is that they actually have to abduct women and then inject them with Jupiter junk. So when they give birth, the child can be resistant, but the mother dies in the process. And so that's like their dark truth, like secret that they have to. There's more to it than that, but yeah, that's the stuff that's non-spoilery.
Yes, that's crazy. I mean, just to have that type of origin, and I'm just thinking of what's going to happen when he realizes the actual truth. Because I went onto the site, and what you guys did really well, I like to say, is the site is a really great compliment to what you're doing with the book, because it gives you a little bit more in-depth detail about other characters. It gives you a really good breakdown about the different companies as well. And so it gives you a little bit more background so that when you do read the content, you're like, oh shit. And then, finding out, just that. I mean, I can't even imagine what that would do to somebody's, psychosis to understand what happened to their mother, and living your entire life one way, and then all of a sudden, not even as a young adult or a child, but as a grown man, knowing that your whole entire life has been a lie. That's fucked up. That's crazy.
And also, like, because then he's been, it's a story of addiction, but he's been born into the addiction. It wasn't a choice. So like, he doesn't have this option. Right. And so there's lots more twists and turns that come.
Yeah. Don't give anything away. I think that portion right there is just really awesome. And then you have the surrounding story of like corporate greed and, all these guys at war with one another as sort of like the ancillary story, but that deep down, I like to keep following. I definitely want to keep following the story because I want to see where that psychosis is going to go for that particular character. What's the main character's name again? Because I know the other guy.
So that's Juno. Yeah, Juno. Right. Juno's the main character. There's Juno and Jackal. They're like the two main Jupiter junkies, and Jackal's like she's like the cutthroat killer, and they're kind of like they've been partnered up for a long time. There's another character that's just about to show up in a little bit online, but it hasn't been featured on the comic yet, but it's on the website. That's Rhea. So she's she works in Dyson Sphere and has a father, but she ends up getting abducted pretty early on, but other stuff happens with her. So she's like a quirky, like a strong female character, but she's like really mechanical and different stuff. And then they have an intersection that stuff kind of blows up from there. But once she kind of gets involved with Caduceus and everything. So so they're in like a moon that's underneath the moon around Jupiter, and it's all covered in ice. Yeah. So
Europa. All right. So then that would lead to my next question. So the influence of the Roman gods, is that because of Saturn and them being in that part of the solar system?
Yeah, so we've kind of done like we're pretty loosey goosey with the Greek and Roman. We call like
because I got Zeus Greek in there, and I was like, wait. We're doing
Roman we're kind of flip flopping back. Yeah, so we're kind of having like this fun thing that they in the story. It's like if we went back in time in this timeline, like the Roman god, that era, like the ancient era, never really dissipated. Like human existence kept on creeping forward from there and didn't lose any of the other stuff. But because it's been so long, they're even mixed up with whatever. So the people use it interchangeably back and forth. It's kind of our just like funny twist because we always like messing around with them back and forth regardless anyway. Because everyone's like, oh, is that god? Is Zeus Greek or the Roman version? You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So we're just kind of having some fun with that kind of weekend. But it connects to all the planets. Yeah, all the planets and corporations are all wrapped up in their own god mythology. So even in the comic, you can see like Jackal takes like Jackal and the drug has the different. She's like has more respect for the drug and kind of like has a whole ceremony to taking it. And then Juno is way more. He's just always taking
a true junkie.
Yeah, so he can't get. That's like the. I don't know, I wouldn't say fun part of his character, but he's the true, like he's using it as an escape. So he does kind of get a little twerked out. So writing in the story that there's a fun like mix, like if you take too much, then he does kind of get a little bit strung out, can't function as well. But if he's too low on it, he's like weaker than a normal human. So there's like a really good fun, especially coming up in like the next segment in the comic. It's a really fun, just automatic ticking clock in the story form. Because if he's on like missions, then he's low on we just call it junk in the comic, but if he's low, then he's running into trouble. He's got to find some, and not to give it away too much, but maybe there's another Jupiter junkie sent on a mission. He might end up just stealing some of his and different stuff like that as he goes along. So
now you guys are releasing this online.
Yeah, for now it's going to be online. It's there's a Webtoons version of it as well that I kind of just cut up the panels, but I'd recommend just reading it on the site just because you can get the full thing. Now that we're hitting the
and
end
you
of
get the
this-
traffic directly to your site.
Yes, that's true too. Yeah. And so I'm gonna end up throwing it up on like Global Comics and some of the other manga sites once the full chapter's done. But yeah, for anyone, just go directly to the site and take a read on it there. I would say one cool perk that we've kind of built in, if you do join the Patreon, there's I built like a secret backend you can log in, and it's actually like you're a Caduceus worker and you have to like do emails and do things, and you get all this feedback. It's like a mini game, so you actually have to like work as a data entry expert at the pharmaceutical company Caduceus, and you can send Juno on missions and different things like that, and make all these decisions, and cool stuff happens in your fake terminal.
I like
I
that.
saw
Pay to be an employee for a fake future pharmaceutical
for a fake company in the future. Yeah. So it has all this like in-world tie-in and different stuff like that. And then the fun part of it is every month or so I can add like more content as it goes to just keep updating it as it so people can just keep playing. And you can have it synced up that you actually get like in world like coinage, like points for doing your job, and you can redeem those for like exclusive merch in the store that isn't accessible to anyone else,
which is
or
awesome.
you can even, if you get enough points, which admittedly is kind of high, but it's possible, if you keep working at Caduceus, you can get a free commission by me, and I'll send it off to you. So.
Oh, that's really
So
cool.
that is reminiscent of what something bad idea would do. And I love it. Yeah. Do you know the publisher of Bad Idea?
No, I don't. No.
All right. So they're relatively, they're not new anymore. I think they've been around for the better part of 5-6 years now, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. And when they first came out, I mean, this is a collection of guys, starting with Matt Kent and a bunch of other guys that got together and decided to publish their own books through their publishing of Bad Idea. And when they first came on, they had really huge gimmicks. One of them was where they had all these rules for the stores. They couldn't sell the book for more than cover before 30 days. They had to have a sign in the store that had the rules on it. That they weren't going to publish any, like, I think, what was it, trades. They weren't going to do variants. There were all these different things. And what they would do is they would have whoever got to the store first to pick up the books would get a sticker from the stores. There was one sticker that they could trade in for something later on. And then they'd be at conventions doing the same thing. So this kind of reminded me of that.
They would make people walk around. They would make their fans walk around conventions with signs that says like "Bad idea sucks" or "Bad idea, let's go." A lot of weird, crazy stuff. If a store broke the rules, they would be their account with that idea would be canceled.
That's hardcore.
And it was great because it drove people into the stores, on Wednesdays, and there was that interactive element. And I really think that's cool, like what you're bringing to this as well. So clearly, you have a background in web design and working with computers, I guess, because I don't.
I can code badly, I guess, enough to do some stuff.
It looks like it looks like DOS language, which is fantastic.
So
mainframe language.
So when did you kind of hit on this idea? Like, okay, we want to release this in pages through the website, and then let's build this interactive element on the back end. I know, like, I think Fred Van Lente has a book right now called "The Future is Fucked," that I think has a sort of interactive component as well, where people can go online and do tasks related to the issue that just came out. I remember when Chuck Palahniuk was writing Fight Club 2 for Dark Horse. Where he would have in-world, like real-world challenges for people, like go to your favorite comic shop and take a picture of you holding this, or we're leaving clues somewhere in New York and see if you can find the thing we spray paint. Like real weird interactive stuff like that. So how did you kind of land on the idea for doing this?
Like, dude, honestly, the original thing that hit me was like, I love the old Shazam comics and like the Monster Society of Evil, and then you get like the secret decoder thing and all that stuff. That's the stuff I just love, like the old fan club, even the Misfits. Like I'm a big punk rock guy, and the old Misfits Fiend Club and stuff that you can actually mail in and get stuff. So this is like my kind of like newish attempt at doing something like that if you're really into it and like want to engage more, and like as a kind of a funny, like I have to work at Caduceus job, then it's just like a nice, honestly, it's like I just think of stuff like what would I want to play or do, and it just seemed like a fun thing that's something I would like to engage with. So that's how
Are
I
they
kind of.
are Caduceus good to work with, or if you're like 5 minutes late?
They're not great.
shift,
They're
like-
pretty demanding. Yeah, they're pretty demanding on people, and their morals are a little askew, I think. But
So when did you guys? When did the first pages drop? How long has this been running so far?
I'd say about a month and maybe 2 months, a month and a half. It's gotta be at least 2 months. We were doing about 5 pages, mostly a week. So I don't
Very
know
cool.
what
Oh,
that is.
so it's relatively new.
Yeah, it's pretty
Oh.
new. Yeah, just getting it kind of going up, and then I'm gonna tweak everything, and maybe we'll look for a publisher later. If not,
Okay, that's
definitely
what I was going to ask
Kickstarter.
Ness.
Yeah,
Yeah, are
if
you
we-
looking to do print copies eventually?
Yeah, we will for sure. Yeah,
Okay.
that's like
Okay.
that's my ultimate goal. And
Would you do manga size?
Yeah, that's
books?
and then maybe do like if it's Kickstarter thing, I'd definitely probably do like a little larger size special version or something like that. But yeah, definitely like my main focus would be like normal manga size. Yeah.
And left to right or right to left?
No, it has to be left to right.
Yeah, it's left to right because that's how we've kind of set it up originally. It was actually a big good thing Andrew Healy isn't here because this was a big battle. I was going, let's go right to left. Let's make it actually like hardcore, like traditional. And then he was like, no one's gonna want to. He's a little more like he's not as big of a manga head. So
that could be a tier.
I don't
that
know
could be a special boat. Somebody you pay extra to get it in the traditional format, right?
Yeah,
No,
but
but you have to reformat panels and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true. But it's hard to do the left, the other way on the website, right? So
right, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I don't because I've never read a manga online because you wouldn't be able to read it up and down. You'd have to read it side to side.
Yeah, and the pages, like you can go to Kodansha's website. They have some free stuff on there, but yeah, you click the reverse way and it flips like.
Oh, does it?
Wow.
Yeah, it goes reverse. It's kind of confusing a little bit to my brain to be. The other ones get away with it. They just make it vertical, so it's like kind of whatever. But yeah, Kodansha's goes like the other way. So.
Screw that. I would have never read it. I would have made it to like page 2, and I'm like, my brain would have been fried.
You're like, oh.
But you know what's really cool is like because we reread a ton of stuff, and one of my favorite things because we print in black and white. So like the book that we have right now is fully black and white, and I love black and white when it's done really well. And I think the contrast between the inks and the negative space and stuff like that are really crucial. And I think there's some really solid panels in here that just create some really great mood and stuff like that. One of my favorite panels is the one where it's just all black and then just the white where the guy's being shot, and that's all you see. It's really impactful. The use of zippertone is cool. I mean, you show some really cool artistic things to do in here that I'm just like, oh, yep, I'm stealing that. And the next time I do something,
nice.
Because I think that's
the black and white panel is just a straight like Sin City rip.
Dude, one of my favorite books, man. I love that original run. Just fantastic. And then and it can be done in color too, because Mike Mignola is one of my favorite artists as well. And he has a like if you take all the color out of it, just the contrast between his blacks and his negative space
That's all you need.
is just fantastic. And so he's one of my favorite artists but then I love also the flip side of it where, I tend to find myself doing a lot of what McFarlane does, which is a ton of just line and detail. And I think mixing those two can be, fun. But I think with black and white, you have to be very careful with the amount of detail that you put into it because you can lose the image for sure. And I think there was a really just the right amount of detail and just, shadows and stuff like that. So, yeah, really cool stuff, Andrew, man. I'm really looking forward to and now how often are you guys releasing pages again?
Yeah, it's every Friday. Every Friday we do, it's around 4 to 5 pages. It's been 5 most weeks. And then we also have a backup story that's on the Patreon too. It's just about 5 pages, but we're only doing that like bi-monthly or something like that. Everyone pops in there, but it's going to go back when they're younger and in like their kind of training when they're younger to become Jupiter juggernauts is like what Caduceus calls them. So that's like their proper name, and it's and it's
that's
Jupiter.
awesome.
Jupiter 816 is the actual drug. So
I dig the tech. I dig like the mech suits. I dig the ships. Like the tech designs are great. And you're teasing it now, but I think you're really itching to get into some real grotesque body horror down the line too.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of like there's gonna be some nudity and stuff, and it's definitely there's a lot of like it's a lot of drugs, and there's like we're playing a lot of it's getting into like it's not to take too much of a comical side of it, but there is like we're treating the addiction side seriously, but there is like in this world there's a lot of different other space drugs, and we kind of joke when he's in the well, not joke, but he's waiting. When you first meet Juno, some of his lines are like he's looking for the plutonium piss and Martian moss and stuff. So some of this other stuff pops up later, and just his archetype, he has a hard time resisting kind of grabbing some of these substances along his way. So I know might get him into some trouble, but yeah, eventually he has a good arc overall. You'll see like how it all plays out, and there's some really cool stuff that. You'll see with the interactions between the characters that even at like I think just as kind of writing it with Andrew Healy, like I was gonna say I don't know about you guys, but like when you come up with the story ideas, it's developed and changed a lot as we've kind of gone. So the dynamic between Jackal and Juno, they're partners in the comic, really just kind of ran away with it. Like once those characters were established, like it's like they kind of take off like in directions that I didn't expect. Their whole dynamic changed a lot more than I even expected, and then Healy added a lot more on top of that. So that whole thing shifted away from what I thought the direction was going to go, and now it's like 10 times better than what I would have been able to come up with.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I think if I'm hearing correctly, because I can tell the difference between the two characters' voices, which is cool, and that's usually like the writer's influence. And I could tell where the Jackal is a little bit more uptight than Juno, and you can see. I was going to say hear it in the writing, but you can read it in the writing, and you can definitely tell the two different personalities where they clash. It's almost like a Tango and Cash kind of like relationship in there, which is pretty cool. I also saw like a little bit of it reminded me of the Scumbag. Do you remember that series?
No.
Did you read it? It was It was Image, right? It was Image.
I believe it was,
yeah.
Yeah. Remender, right?
Like
I think it was
like a space fucking just
he was
hard.
like drug addict James Bond.
But a
like
drug addict James Bond.
Oh, really?
Bond,
yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's called Scumbag. If you haven't read it, it's out in trade. You should definitely read it. It's such it's so different from the norm of what we consider comics. And just just think of like if it was Lobo on drugs all the time.
Okay. Awesome.
And then but what was great about that story arc is that you have that funny tone of him being an asshole, being on drugs. But then there's like a wrench that's thrown in there that all of a sudden at the very end of it just brings his humanity back into it, or makes you realize that he's a scumbag, but he's a likable scumbag at the very end of that arc, which is cool. Because I think having characters not only with flaws, but characters that really annoy you, that make a transformation that's natural because something's been put in there for them. Is always awesome. I think it makes stories more interesting. Because
I'll even tell you.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, sorry. I was just gonna tell you, like, even just I can tell you this is not a huge spoiler or anything, but coming up shortly, like when they get back from the mission, like we have a whole section. Juno goes back to his own room, right? But now, like, he's alone, and then he has like the drugs, and it's way more like a longing, yearning, like an internal reflection. It gets a little more serious. Like he's not so like, all right, or whatever part. It's dark in the sense that he's like questioning like what's going on here and stuff. Like, and his whole his life is tied to this. I don't know if you think a lot of addictions that like his life is simplified in the sense that all he just needs is the next thing. So like he does the missions, like, but it's only to get the reward of the drug, but that's just to keep him alive. And now like there's no meaning to this. He's just on this like conveyor belt cycle that's just like
Yeah.
driving him along over and over again. And but once he's alone, then all this stuff kind of hits. He can't like hide from himself anymore, you know, like, and so there's cool stuff. But that's why I like in the, you get there too, like because I love music, I kind of worked in that, like, you know, some of his escape aside, that's like the one thing he's allowed is music. So he's got like some music back and stuff. Anyway, stuff like that. But yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah,
I
no,
love,
that's awesome.
I love that his just penchant for narcotic intake is he's like a space Hunter S. Thompson. I think it's really
yes,
it's a really good angle. It's a really good hook.
Yeah. So yeah, get some
All right,
trouble.
so you know the end of the story already, yes?
Yes, it's already all plotted out and everything. Yeah, so it's all the way to the whole arc. There's a definite end, and then that's the end.
And
yeah.
do you have an ETA for that? Is it 5
the
years,
end?
10 years?
Oh yeah, I guess it would take. I think it's about 5 or 6 books. I'm gonna guess. I think in the whole plotting, because I've laid out the whole first 200 and something, and that gives me to like the end of the first, I don't know, kind of section or whatever. This was actually first played out, I should say, it was actually mapped out originally as like an animated TV show idea. And then, so that's kind of why I'm struggling, like how many actual issues it is, because it was actually plotted that way, and then we worked backwards. So anyway.
But, well, hopefully that comes full circle for you down the road.
Hey, you never know. Let's see what happens.
Oh, we got an A.
Yeah.
Hey, you never know. I was waiting for one of those. Listen, it's awesome. Now I'm hooked, so I'll be there every Friday from now on, because I got to the end of this 34. I'm pretty sure there's additional pages that are already on there that I have not read, so I've got to catch up on that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where it's going. Like I said before, I mean, just the dynamics of the panels, just the natural. It's not McFarlane-esque because the anatomy's all there. But there's some really great action scenes that I like. I think the camera angles that you choose, there's just really good diversity. It's a really cool. Like, did you, all right, because you weren't allowed to go to art school, but did you take any lessons, or is this all self-taught?
Yeah, it's like whenever this stuff came up online, I learned as much as I can kind of off of stuff like that, but majority of it's self-taught. I did take some online, like actual like fine art courses and stuff like that. So the Watts Atelier, I don't know if you've heard of them. They're in California, I think. But he's like a classical, like, you know, like the Atelier system. So that helped me out a ton. Just because it actually, like, you know, it's away from comics, but it's just all the fundamentals. Is like you're doing a lot of charcoal stuff with light and shadow and doing that stuff, then just coming back to absorb more comic stuff after that. I do feel like once I did, this is even later on, but so that I just kind of worked my way up through that. I did some online course stuff through Kubert School and different stuff. When I was
going to ask, because I've done stuff through Kubert as well. They're over here because we're in Jersey, so they're
nice.
Jersey. Yeah, they just moved to Madison, New Jersey, also.
Yeah, so like I would say they're great, of course, like for anyone that's interested in that kind of stuff. And then
what did you do with them? Did you do sequencing art with them?
Yeah, I did like the mail-in course that you can kind of go back and forth. Yeah, that's the main thing I did. Like years.
You know, they got rid of it now, right?
Yeah, I don't. That's what I was like. It was a long time ago. I got the actual mailers.
You got the big books. I have a set of big books too. They do everything online now too. They've added a bunch of different courses, and I think anybody who's looking to do like what you do and stuff like that as an artist definitely should take advantage of it, especially if they can afford to go there full time. Just because, like being a good artist doesn't necessarily mean you're a good storyteller. And I think just there was just this natural progression, and I know I'm probably complimenting you way too much because I don't want it to go to your head. But it was just really cool to see some really good sequential art in the pages that I read.
Thanks, man. Yeah, honestly, like a big thing too that pushed me over was being at the Raid Studio as well. Like being around guys like Roman Perez and Marcus Doe and all these guys. Scott Hepburn's there too, and then like just picking their brains, and like the ability to be like, either I'm struggling drawing this thing, or just like, why isn't this working? And then we have these other, I was gonna say, anyone that just, if you're in a comics community or people that are into it, you know what I mean, that you can talk to about, like you just can't see your mistakes,
Yes.
at any, like, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. Like, I'll stare at the same page and be like, why the fuck? So
and then somebody
it's
come
like,
over and just be like, yo, this. And you're like, oh.
yeah, he's like, hey, yeah, like that. What are you doing with the, so that kind of stuff. So yeah, for sure. That's
No, and what I
best.
really appreciate that you did too is, for the most part, you kept the gutter spaces in and kept the traditional panels, even though they weren't all square. There was that gutter space there. I've read some really some awesome like black and white comics, but the art is all on top of one another where there's not the clear gutter
Shit.
space. So
Yeah.
the art is convoluted, even though it looks awesome.
Right.
Just like, if I have to look at it, you know how, remember those 3D images that you had to look
Yeah,
at and
yeah.
stare at to make it 3D? If I have to look at a page
Yeah.
like that to decipher it,
Have you-
it hurts my head.
Like, I feel bad that I forgot, I was blank on his name before. Have you seen Aja's like kind of layout pages? Like, it's like some mathematical like genius laying out pages. He's like, I don't even know what's going on. There's lines everywhere, like breaking up like sight lines to like movement, all this crazy shit. But like he's just playing it out so amazing. But yeah, I would say, like, especially if people haven't been doing comics in a long time, don't start making everyone break panels. That's the classic thing, you know, like all over the place. So you do it every once in a while, but don't be like, I'm gonna make everything.
Yes, once in a
jump
while,
over.
maybe one every 5 books, not every.
Yeah, like wait
damn
a
page.
bit.
Full
Which is cool.
speed is
But
not a full-time option.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
None at all. All right, cool. Now, listen, Andrew, this is awesome. I think we definitely have
Thanks,
to
guys.
have you and the Healy on next time, so we
Sure.
can talk about the process. I'd actually, you know what, really before we end this, because I want to know, like, what's your artistic process now? Because you spoke about doing stuff traditionally and then going on to Clip Studio.
Yeah, so like
is that how you normally work?
Yeah, kind of back. I was doing a lot of traditional stuff on like the original Bristol for like other pages. So I've done other comics in the past and kickstarted some stuff before, and then I always do them traditional on inks. I just prefer inking traditionally, but I do admit that like I'm probably faster when I do jump into. I use Clip Studio for the most part if I'm gonna ink, like most people. So that's like the other way I do it. But yeah, on this book I got original pages somewhere back there, but they just manga. So I just got the manga pages, and then if it was up to me, I would get zip tone from Japan and stuff, but the shit's so expensive and takes me forever to actually cut out. But maybe for like some covers and stuff, I might end up doing that.
Right.
I love doing it. It's so fun. Like, it's just so nice and tangible to like get it on there. But so I do the zip kind of online right now, and then I clean up stuff. Some of the stuff's kind of like, I kind of like the freedom of just ink away, and I don't have to like sweat too much. And then if I want to clean some stuff up or fix some, rearrange some stuff, there's even some panels that are totally, I just like either rearrange or just totally blank out and just redraw right in Clip, stuff like that. But fingers crossed for anyone that wants to get original art. I won't give you a broken page; it'll be a real one. But
yeah. That was the next thing I was going to ask, because a lot of especially artists now, the turnaround time for projects to be done and completed is a lot quicker now to get stuff turned around. And working digitally obviously is a lot faster. The stuff that you could do digitally that you can't do traditionally obviously saves you a ton of time. And I was one of the ones that was really resistant to digital because I love the feel of paper.
Okay.
The pen on the paper and the feel. But you learn quickly that you got to do what you got to do to make ends meet and deadlines and stuff like that. So what I've evolved to is saying, okay, you know what? All my interiors, I'll loosely do stuff on paper and then kind of like scan and then go from there. But it's mostly digital. But I'll do all my covers traditionally.
Okay.
So I won't even touch like digital until I'm getting ready to ink and stuff like that later on. That at least in my books, it's all covers.
I was gonna ask. For a while there, I was doing like, I was penciling digitally and then do the blue line thing and then ink over top. I felt like that was kind of nice as well, but I kind of trying to get away from that as well for whatever. So much screen time all the time, especially as like story. If I'm storyboarding and then doing this stuff, I'm just staring at the screen for forever.
Yeah.
So like,
and you know what? It depends on the mood that I'm in. Because sometimes what I'll do too is if I'm doing something, I'll do something loosely digitally, and if I like it, I'll convert that to blue line, put it out, and then use my backlight for a Bristol board and use it as my my start point. And then sometimes I'll just draw it straight out, and
Right.
then blue line that, then bring it in. So it all depends on the like where I'm at. Like all of a sudden, and you know, as an artist, you're inspired anytime if you're doodling something and you say, "Oh shit, this is fucking great," then you just transfer that over to whatever you're going to utilize. And yeah, so it's whatever. I don't have one particular process, and I know that some people are that anal that they'll do the same thing every single time because it works for them. I do whatever inspires me at that moment, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to go. I saw some people like choose different things for different projects too. You know, just try to like shift up your style for that project and keep it consistent, but then for the next one, try to do something different. But
yeah, no, for sure. But I always want to have at least one piece of original something from a particular comic that I've done, just in case anybody asks, or have that at a show so that I can sit with and along with the material that we have, so that people understand. Yes, I actually do draw. Look it. It's not just on the computer, kind of thing. And now with AI coming out and people doing stuff like in 5 minutes with AI, holy shit, it's just driving me insane and stuff like that. But I don't know. We've had conversations about this, and you know, I think there's definitely going to be stuff out there. There's people that are actually, you know, being ousted now because of the use of that technology.
I haven't looked at too much of it. I've been trying to stay away from it, but even from the manga side, I wonder, like, it's got to be, I don't know how people feel about it too. Even backgrounds, you know, like throwing in, especially manga, you know, like a lot of the, you know, building backgrounds people just throw in. You can tell it's kind of like just slapped in there from something else. But I'm like, I wonder how people. I'm not doing it, but like, I just wonder how people's thoughts are. Like, you know, if you get AI backgrounds, is it that different than grabbing? I don't know. I'm not trying to justify it, but it's just a strange, weird, like. I'm still, I'm just drawing backgrounds manually.
Yes. It's still at the beginning, and I think a lot of the stuff that you can tell is it has to do with perspective. It's just not quite right. Totally. And if you look at it enough, it doesn't feel right. I think, and that's the difference between, you know, somebody who's doing the work looking at it as opposed to let's say just the norm looking at the work, kind of thing. I don't know. I just it's a really weird territory that I hope doesn't go too far and replace a lot of what we do.
And I don't think it can go too far. There's some, you know, like when you're just messing with perspective, like it may not be right, but it's like it works for the shot. Like you're breaking it on purpose almost. Like you're like, I'm gonna warp this, or like, you know, it's close enough this way or something like that. That I think it just, it's weird because it's like the computer's never going to do that. Even backgrounds you slap in, or it's not going to fit. Like you're saying, like perfectly. You know what I mean? So there's something with making it cohesive that it's like working all together. That it might be off a little bit, but it looks right.
It's an actual style choice as opposed to something that's just meshed together from nothing. It's weird. It's weird. Yes, I get it. All right, cool. Listen, Jupiter Junkie, awesome. JupiterJunkie.com. I'm going to put the links in the details and stuff like that. Really looking forward to this, guys. If you like sort of like what we spoke about, like Scumbag, if you like, you know, these fucking just space stories,
with like action,
you're going to love this. If you like black and white, like I love black and white, this is definitely going to be up right at your alley as well. So make sure.
If I could say one last quick thing, just even if. Like, forget about the Patreon. If anyone's interested, just if you can sign up for the email list if you're interested, then I can update you that way. That like goes a huge way just to support us if you like the comic. It's like the easiest way, but that's it. Yeah.
All right, do that. All right, cool. So last question before we go. We always ask this of all our guests. What's one piece of advice that you would give to somebody who is looking to do their first comic?
First comic, definitely don't make it too long. Do I only have one piece of advice?
No, whatever you want.
Okay. I was like, stop myself. But you definitely don't make it too long. Make it like doable, like 5 to 10 pages. I'm like, don't make it longer than that, and just get it done. I would be like, don't even worry. And if you have this amazing story in your head, don't use that one. Just make up a brand new story, 5 to 10 pages. Just get the thing done. Because you're gonna hate it in about 5 years or whatever, probably, maybe not. But you're gonna grow so much from it that your next one's gonna be a banger after that. So,
Nice.
That's what I
awesome.
would say.
Dude, I say it all the time. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be finished.
Yes.
Perfection does not exist at all. Listen, Andrew, this has been absolutely fun. We wish you all the best of the story. Like I said, John and I are definitely going to be following along. Hopefully you get some more people in there as well. Make sure you guys go over, visit the site, show some love and support to the Andrews, because you'll get to meet the other Andrew.
Yeah.
And then, definitely hit us up later on, especially if this goes on to Kickstarter, so that we can have you both back on and we can talk some more about this.
Sick. Thanks.
That'll be awesome. But yeah, thank you for your time, Andrew. Good luck, brother. Hopefully we'll talk soon again.
Great stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks. Thank you, guys. Awesome.
Cool. All right, guys. That is all that we have for you today. So if you like what you heard, subscribe to the podcast. Better yet, invite 100 of your closest friends to come and listen to the podcast. We have interviews, reviews, a whole bunch of stuff on here. If you want to be on the podcast, go over to indiecreatorcomics.com, fill out the podcast form. John and I would love to talk to you about you and or your project that you have coming up. If you're on social medias, Indie Creator Comics on everything. Last but not least, support your local comic shops, because without them, we would not be able to do what we love to do. All right, kiddies, until next time, we want to thank you for joining us on the Indie Creator Comics podcast, where we are all about independent comics.